I worked for a subnet for the past 4 weeks. What happened? What did I learn? My name's Jeremy, aka School of Crypto, and I'm bringing you another Bittensor video. I am so sorry I have not been as active on YouTube. I had been going all out with this subnet and trying to do the best job I could. So you might be wondering, what exactly have I been up to? Which subnet was I working with? Well, I'm here to tell you all the nitty-gritty details and how great of an experience it was. So, there was about maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, it was actually right before Thanksgiving actually, and I did a piece on Tau Daily about how grateful I was about all the contributors to Tau Daily, and I basically shouted out like everyone who did an article on the website, everyone who posted videos that got posted on Tau Daily. We just have so many good content creators, and I wanted to give a shout out to every single one that I saw that contributed to the website, So I did that, and I got some good responses from people. They appreciated it. They liked how I gave a shout out to them and how I acknowledged their work, and and it was well due. It was absolutely great to just give my thanks to everyone contributing to the project. And I got a message from Grant with Ventura Labs, and he was like, hey, thank you so much for the acknowledgement, and I might want to get you on the podcast or something. I was like, wow, that is so cool. I would love to talk to you about it, and I basically got on a video call with him. It was only 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, something like that. It was really quick. I remember it happened really quick, and then he had some other call right after, but had a really good talk, kind of hit it off. He's just good people. He's a good dude, and we had a good conversation. And I was like, yeah, congratulations on acquiring those subnets, right? Bittensor was one of them. I can't think of the other name. I know that the Bittensor one's the really active one for him right now. And I was like, whatever I can do to help, I think that this whole open source contribution thing is really interesting in terms of incentivizing people to contribute to open source work, because it's so important to the technology field, right? And so I actually just did a whole Google, sorry, the phone went down on me a little bit there, but I did a whole Google Doc on basically, what they can do in terms of outreach of getting more miners on their subnet, and I, did a lot of research on the top repositories that they had that people were making contributions to, Bitcoin was one of them, Ethereum, Solana, Zcash, and I just I basically looked at all the top, contributors on those repos, and I did my own mock message that I would send out to them, and kind of the strategy I had, personalizing things and getting people interested in Bittensor and getting interested in contributing to Bittensor. So I did that whole doc, and I just sent it out to him because I just wanted to be of help. I thought he was a good dude, and I just wanted, he just had acquired this subnet not too long before that. Maybe it was a handful of weeks before that, and I was like, yeah, maybe this will help him out, So I sent that out to him, and then we basically had another call. It was the day after I sent it out, or maybe a couple days after I sent it out, and then he was like, man, you did a lot of work on this, I really enjoyed what you put together, and he said, you know what, I think you can really help us out, and he basically told me, hey, like, we can give you a little bit, in terms of like, if somebody signs up as a miner and they get a pull request actually accepted in the repository, and then we can kind of go from there, And I was like, man, like, that's awesome. Like, I would be happy to help, So I basically was working on this for them, for Bittensor, for like the last 4 weeks. And, I kind of mentioned like, hey, like, this is kind of like in the middle of a couple of holiday seasons, in terms of like New Year's and Christmas and, stuff like that. And I just, I said, hey, like, temper your expectations, right? So like the first couple of weeks, it was like a learning experience for me in terms of like what works, right? So like, I really pounded the X and Twitter space. So like, I know there's a lot of crypto people on X, right? And Twitter, and I basically like use Grok to, kind of like narrow down like, what developers could work on these open source repositories. And then obviously I emailed anyone who had a contact information on GitHub. I emailed them and kind of told them about the project, asked if they were interested in it, stuff like that, And I got my first responses really on like X and Twitter, like those were the first guys that like were interested, and like I kind of like started off with maybe like a meeting a day, like, so like I averaged maybe like 5-6 meetings like every week, those first 2 weeks. And then I came to realize that like a lot of the messages like went into like these like spam like inboxes for like Twitter, because like if you're not like connections with someone, you basically don't get like directly sent to their inbox, and like this other like inbox is like, I looked at mine for example, and it was like a lot of spam. It was like, X-rated messages. I'm like, like, I don't know who actually looks at this stuff. So I was even surprised that like I actually got any responses from like people on Twitter that didn't like follow me, So like I sort of like kind of went to Reddit a little bit, and I saw like people who were like in the open source community, people who were like crypto developers, and I kind of started messaging them, and I was able to talk to a couple not great responses, people that like said, yeah, I'm interested, and then I would message them about it, and then like I never heard from them again. So I was like, all right, I gotta think of another avenue here. So then I thought, all right, let me try LinkedIn. Like maybe I should have done that from the beginning, right? So I went on LinkedIn. I have like 1,800 connections. Like, I don't think that matters. I think like everyone just sees the 500 plus, but like, I basically just like started connecting with like, developers who were like, again, like, there's a lot of like Python repos like that people can work on in Bittensor, but like anyone who is like Rust is a big one. Golang, C, there's a bunch of other ones that I kind of looked for, in terms of TypeScript, right? Some JavaScript. And I basically just like connected with like as many people as possible that had these skill sets, and basically I had a huge response, like I got people responding left and right. I probably sent like the ratio of the messages that I sent versus the responses I got, it might have been like 25%, which is unbelievable, 30% maybe. And then I got to like a 20% clip of people that actually took meetings from the messages that I sent. So like, in terms of cold messaging, those are like superstar numbers, and so for the past couple weeks, like I had 16 meetings with developers last week, and last week was New Year's week, right? And then this week I was set to do 20. And then I basically had they had a number in mind in terms of like, you know, what they kind of wanted to see in terms of maybe getting some sort of full-time role. And what I found out was, you know, I only got a few, right, that actually submitted code that was accepted in the repository. And I signed up about 15, and I had about half of those people that actually submitted a pull request. So, and if you don't know what a pull request is, it's basically submitting a fix to like an issue in a repository or a code base on GitHub. So I just had a conversation with Grant yesterday. I can't say enough good things about him. I just told him I appreciated the opportunity. Didn't get to the number. You know, he wanted sort of like an incentive-based type of role, you know, where you kind of had to, you know, get some pretty high numbers that I personally didn't know were achievable or not. So I kind of like stopped after yesterday. So, but I just like thought the experience was so incredible. Like, I got a chance to talk to people from Africa, from Asia, from Europe, in the States here. And I got to spread the word about Bittensor and Gittensor, and I tried to get more miners on the network, and I thought that I really got on a roll these last couple of weeks, you know, just in terms of the outreach, using LinkedIn, the copy that I used. I had a meeting with a blockchain club, you know, I believe it was in Singapore, just the other day, and it's just, the response was just incredible. And I just like, I'm hoping I can leverage this to like maybe help other subnets or just help Bittensor as a whole, because there's a lot of people that are really interested in this stuff that don't even know about it. And I'm just like really grateful for the experience. I'm really grateful that Grant gave me an opportunity to represent the subnet, right? Because like, you need to trust somebody to like kind of actually talk about your project and to be able to put them in the right direction, right? And I'm just like really grateful for that experience and that opportunity. And I just like, I'm hoping that I can branch that out into some other type of role where I can be of help, so I can really spread the word about this great project that we all love. So I just wanted to like give you guys like, you know, kind of like a recap of like what I've been up to, you know, why I haven't been as active. I've just been like, I put like my heart and soul into this, you know, and I really don't think I could have done any better. In terms of like, you know, developers that didn't submit code, I think like this is a process, right? People have their own lives. They have other projects they're working on. Some people, you know, obviously this was in the middle of 2 holiday weeks. So I just think like, had I started like the beginning of the year, had I started with LinkedIn from the get-go, those conversions would have been a lot better in terms of people who actually submitted code that got passed through, that got merged. But I'm just, you know, again, I'm really hard on myself. But I can say that I'm really proud of what I did and what I accomplished, because, you know, setting up 16 meetings, setting up 20 meetings from like people I had I didn't even know, right? That I just connected with on LinkedIn randomly. You know, I don't know who could do that, right? I really don't know. So yeah, man, I just wanted to get that off my chest. I wanted to tell you guys what I've been up to. I'm going to be a lot more active now because I have more time to spend, because I'm not going to be, you know, doing these things with Gittensor anymore. Even though, you know, again, I wish them very well. I really love the project. I'm going to stay friends with Grant. Like, he's an awesome person. It just didn't align in terms of like how we can work things out moving forward. But you know, again, like going back to that video that I had in terms of like New Year's resolutions, like I really hope I can get some sort of full-time role with Bittensor or a crypto project, and like leverage these like, you know, networking skills or like onboarding skills or like cold messaging skills, and then like with my writing and with like these videos, and like I'm doing these spaces on X. I'm not sure if you guys ever tuned into that, but I've had some pretty cool ones there. So yeah, I know this has been a longer video. I'm not sure how much you guys are going to tune into this, because I don't blame you. It's a little bit longer, but I just wanted to tell you everything, right? I wanted to let you know what was going on and how great of an experience it was working for Bittensor. And I really think that they're going to do very well, you know, and I hope that I had some little bit of a part of it, you know, in terms of like onboarding some developers to work to mine on the subnet. So what do you guys think of my journey? Like, what do you think of this experience? Like, you know, let me know down in the comments below. I'm just kind of filling you in on everything, right? I'm just being open and honest with you guys. I'm trying to be radically honest, like, with everyone, right? You know, and just like let you know how it went and what's to come. And you know, I'm just going to be doing a lot more stuff on here on X, you know, trying to find a full-time job in crypto, specifically Bittensor, and try to connect with you guys. Like, maybe I can do some like calls with you guys, like 15-minute calls, just to get to know you better, just to like get some advice, like, hey, like, what do you need from me, right? Like, what content should I make, right? Like, let me know. I'm happy to hear. You guys know better than I do. You guys, I want to deliver what you guys want, right? So just let me know down in the comments below. I got my X Learn Crypto here, that you can always just message me anytime, right? Anytime. I'm here for you guys. And yeah, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for going on this night ride with me and learning about my whole experience these last 4 weeks. And yeah, no, I have an idea for a video that I'll come out with in a couple of days here. And it's always a pleasure, guys. And yeah, look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.